and then they can't steal anymore because they're so burnt out, and they just zombie around. But some people don't get to zombie level. Some people have the hardcore, violent, psychotic break. They lock and load, and they go in and start blasting people, or they chop their baby's arms off, or stick them in the microwave. I forgot there's a bunch of cases of that. They're always on it. Because people don't do things like that unless they're hopped up on multiple psychotropics. People don't stick babies in microwaves. People don't drive their 3 kids in booster seats into the cold river, into the Detroit River. People don't do things like that. They don't walk into malls and walk up to women shopping and splatter their heads. Unless they're already disturbed and then put on hardcore drugs, and then the media advertises that's what they're supposed to do, and advertises all day that there's this big epidemic of it. All right, I've already digressed off the map here. So 4 years ago in Europe, 2 years ago in the U.S., they forced serotonin reuptake inhibitor families, the family of these drugs, and they got stuff even worse now. I mean, this just messed with serotonin, which jacks with the whole brain chemistry and levels. Hormone levels, endocrine levels, everything. Now they are coming out with whole new classes that are even worse. And they're highly, hardcore addictive. And you look at their molecules. You look at the structure of the drugs. And some of them are multiple molecule chains, big combos. Some of them have 2, 3, 4 different hardcore psychoactive drugs in them, and I know all this because we've interviewed the scientists, read the reports, and you can go read it for yourself. It's mainstream knowledge. And now if you have a car wreck, now people that have surgeries, the hospitals will come in and say, how you feeling, 3 days after you've had half your colon removed, or after you've had your esophagus radiated. Well, I'm really depressed, doc. Well, we got something for you. We're gonna have the hospital counselor see you. And then she comes in, or he comes in. I want to try these out. Take these for a couple months, and I'm going to come back in. After you're out of the hospital, I want you to come in. Of course, this is business for them. They're going to get money for this. I want you to come in and talk to me. And you come in, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling better. Well, of course you are. You've been out of the hospital a month after you had your colon chopped out, or your that car wreck and had your jaw broken. You're not drinking out of a straw anymore. And now you're on happy drugs. Man, you're taking stuff. It's all based on fluoride molecules. Well, the serotonin reuptake inhibitors are. And then they jack with that. I mean, this stuff is rat poison. Oh, and it feels real good. Why do you think alcohol feels real good? That's just a base poison. You're drinking a poison. It's going around inside your body. It's going into your brain. And that's child's play. Child's play. Nicotine's a poison. That's an old mob trick. They'd wear plastic gloves under leather gloves so you wouldn't notice they were wearing gloves. And they'd, in the wintertime, the point is I'm getting off into side issues how they'd kill people. The point is they wear a plastic glove, come up and dump it on you, or shake your hand, or put it on the inside of your shirt. And, man, that nicotine goes through, and, baby, you're going to have a big heart attack real fast when all those vessels clamp down. You're going to die. A couple drops of that stuff. But I'm already digressing here. They have put, I don't know, it was 15%. Now they say it's approaching 20. But I still see the old number, too. But let's just say 15% of the countries now on these. We got the New Freedom Initiative documents 2 years ago, and one of the board members of the New Freedom Initiative went public out of Ohio that the president's plan was written up by the drug companies, as if we didn't already know that, and that they said, well, we've already got 15% of the youth on them. Our goal is by 2010, that's just a few years from now. How time flies. That was in 2005, so I guess that was in 5 years. Wasn't 2 years ago, so it was 3 years ago now. They said we want to have 50% at least of American school children on serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And now it's pushing 20% of adults and children. So we know what these drugs are doing. We know what's happening. And what is the system doing? Oh, it's not enough to have 20% on. We want half of the people on them. And it doesn't matter that every case of a woman dancing around on top of a roof with butcher knives naked, every case of somebody putting the baby in the microwave, every case, just every case of people blowing their kids' heads off, every case, and I know you're out there listening, you've noticed in every case they say they're on these drugs. And you go look at what the drug does, you go look at what it does to your brain, of course this happens. Oh yeah, you're going to be real happy 360 days out of the year, but 5 days out of the year, or with some people, it might be 100 days out of the year. Some people, it may be no days out of the year. But it doesn't matter. It's Russian roulette. You're going to be a psychopathic killer, just literally crazed, thinking about how you want to murder people. Oh, it's just like LSD. Oh, it's real fun. You know, you take it 50 times, but that 51st trip, or it might be the first trip, it might be the 10th trip, it might be the 100th, you have an absolute psychotic break and go jump out a window or go kill your family. These are dangerous, dangerous drugs. The serotonin reuptake inhibitors molecules are more dangerous, more toxic, and I've had medical scientists and doctors on to cover this. It's not my opinion. Than LSD, than peyote, than even PCP. But they give it in lower dosages. But then you get a resistance and it builds up. And then people abuse them. The last caller brought up one of his friends who was put on Seroquel. So I just clicked information that you need to know on their page. Let me go to the actual link. It says important safety information. And it says elderly patients, this is what it first says, with dementia-related psychosis. This is a psychological pill. It isn't. It goes on to say, treated with this type of medicine are at an increased risk of death. Next line, antidepressants have increased the risk of suicidal thoughts. That's an oxymoron. Antidepressants have increased the risk of suicidal thoughts. Period. Antidepressants have increased the risk of suicidal thoughts. Thought they're antidepressants. And actions. Suicidal thoughts and actions in some children, teenagers, and young adults. Parents of all ages starting treatment should be watched closely for worsening of depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions. Agitations, irritability. You mean going into a mall and shooting a bunch of people or putting the baby in the microwave? It does it to adults, too. But you add adolescent hormones and the rest of it in there, and you get these type of nightmares. And the suicides are in the thousands. The suicides are in the thousands every year caused by this. They've had to admit it. And Prozac, in its early trials in 1981-82, it came out that there was a 15 times increase in that study on suicide, and they suppressed that. 15 times increase. And that wasn't just in the general public. That was in control groups, in those taking placebo versus the drug.